My dear brothers and sisters, namaste to all of you, and the love and blessings of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo to all of you from Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Delhi branch. I have with me here today Ms. Ashwini Londhe, who is a child psychologist with more than 30 years of experience, and that too, experience particularly with school children and their parents. She, in her own experience, has come across a wide variety of psychological issues in children. Today, we'll concentrate on only one set of issues which are becoming pretty common, and that is because many married couples are now taking a conscious decision not to have children. And unfortunately, this decision is being taken by parents who can, in fact, provide the best of parenting. So, apart from that being not very desirable for the society, even in their case, they are missing out on something which is inbuilt into us as a basic need. But what happens is that because the urge is so strong, once in a while, in spite of not having the intention of having a child, they end up do getting one. So uh, suppressing this urge for parenthood, which is an inbuilt need in a way. And need is not, in fact, just for parenthood, it reflects a broader need, the need to give love to somebody and express that love by giving what that person needs. But in case of children, that type of love, which is unconditional, does not expect anything in return, that type of pure and true love for the child comes very easily. It's instinctive. But in spite of that, why these parents are giving up or why these parents are ready to give up this joy and making a conscious decision not to have children is primarily for the sake of their career. So there's often this conflict between uh, professional progress, material progress, to which professional progress is tied up, and providing time and energy to the child. So what happens is that in some such cases, when in spite of their not wanting a child, the child does arrive, then what happens? Uh, it's quite sort of natural to sort of suspect that maybe it will have some effects on the child because what the parents think and feel can get reflected in the child, and there's quite some evidence for that. So, in her experience, she has found at least a few cases in which the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, that is, the child having a very short attention span and the child being more active and fidgety, sort of. You can say activity is good, but being fidgety is not good. So, that sort of a symptom when the child shows that could be related to this. And without us taking any more time of yours, I'll request her to share some such case histories, what she observed, and how she could deal with them.
Namaste, Namaste, Dr. Bijlani ji. As doctor said, that there are some parents who take the decision of not uh, wanting or not having the child, but somehow they end up getting one, or even in some cases there are two, and it's like their decision of not having child, and now the child is there, is a conflicting situation in itself. So, what we consider as motherhood or the instinctive love, caring, or that um, unconditional acceptance of that particular baby does not happen over there. Many a times we have seen in the professional life that the clients, usually the parents, come with the child who is having some behavioral disorder or some attention deficits, and they say that you counsel the child and you work with the child. It is not always it happens that the problem is with the child. There are some other things which we need to consider in all the cases which are referred to us. And in such cases where the child is not planned and it happened, in those cases, many a times the mother is not ready to accept the child completely and give that particular love and care. And usually the child end up with some or the other conflict within himself. And the reflection is like the child is diagnosed as attention deficit child or hyperkinetic child or some behavior disordered child. At that time, it is very important to make the parents aware that it is not the child who needs counseling or who needs the therapy. It is the complete family. The whole unit needs proper guidance and counseling. And in such cases, it is like we work more with the parents than with the child. So the child, when the parents' approach towards the child changes, we observe positive changes in the child's behavior also. Like one certain case, which was referred long back, it was the parent who didn't plan for the second child. The first child was accepted, all the attention was given, and the second child was not planned. And when the second child was there, somehow the mother started managing with the child, and it so happened that the first child was neglected and he was craving for all the attention from the mother. And when he was coming to the school on the regular basis, all the attention was provided by the teacher, and even he was spending nice time with with his peers. So that particular urge for the attention, care, love, everything was somehow getting satisfied with all these sources which were around him. But when he spent the vacation, complete 3 months at home, he started feeling that particular need of attention, that I am not been attended, I am not been given that particular love, care, and comfort which I was getting it earlier. And he was a child of 4 plus. The younger one was around 1 year old. So definitely both of them were in need of attention, and the mother didn't realize that. And when the school started, here, as usual, the father used to bring the child to the school. And it so happened that the child started crying a lot initially. Then, when the father forced him inside the school campus, he started puking without any reason. Then, even he refused to open his tiffin box during the lunchtime and all that. And then the parents were called. And when we started working with the mother, she said that I am unable to cater to the needs of both the children. So the second one was not wanted. Now he is here. And the elder one, we wanted the child, but still I am unable to work with both of them. So complete rescheduling of the mother's timetable was done. The mother was given all the positive strokes that how to work with the child and how she will be getting more time even for herself, even having two children with her. So everything was done, and it was almost after a complete academic year, we were successful to bring back the elder one on the track, and he happily started coming to school. And the younger one, definitely after some time, he also came to school. There is another case which I have dealt with, like it is the child who was completely not wanted, and it happened. So the mother tried taking all the medication, which was wrong, to abort the child. And somehow, after the full term, she got a normal delivery, but she ended up with a lot of physical problems with her own health. And then there wasn't proper attention which was given to the child because of her health issues. And even the child was having his own health issues which were not catered well. So when the child started coming to the school, attention deficit was the first thing what the teachers noted. Then there was overactivity which was seen, and then the diagnosis was done, and it ended up with hyperactivity. On top of all this, they were unable, the parents were actually unable to handle all these behavioral patterns at home. So a lot of hitting was happening, lot of violence was happening back home, which resulted in another behavioral issues with the child. So again, it was like the mother who was counseled well, even the father was counseled how they have to work with each other as parents or as husband wife, how they have to accept themselves, whatever their careers are and whatever their present responsibilities are there with them. So everything has to be coordinated, and then the child will definitely fall into the place, because it wasn't a serious kind of a problem or disorder which has happened with the child. It was just the approach and the attitude of the parents which needed to be changed. And that was done. And slowly the child, actually the attention span which wasn't there earlier, with a lot of remedial techniques, we were able to bring back that attention span. And even the behavioral issues also, they reduced a lot. So parents role is very important, which has to be recognized, considered important for the healthy development of all the children.
Thank you, Ashwini ji. A few points that emerge from what you said, key points. Firstly, that this conflict is very often seen by the women. They don't want the child, and yet the child arrives, and that leads to psychological issues in the child. Now, motherhood is an extremely strongly felt need. So why is it that in your cases it's the woman who is feeling it? My guess would be that it is because the conflict between the career and having a child is much more clear and sharp and intense in case of women as compared to men. Because even after the child arrives, the father can continue to work by and large. I mean, that is the usual pattern. He can continue to work. His career does not suffer much. He can leave home early and come back late and expect that, well, the child's mother is there to take care of him. It is the woman who faces this conflict uh, much more clearly than the father does. And
Yes.
maybe that's why it is so. But then, whether it is the mother or the father, it is the child who suffers the
Yes.
most.
Yes.
And what is the fault of the child? After all, you brought this child into this world.
Yes.
So it's better to take that responsibility and look at it not as a responsibility, but in fact as a source of joy.
Yes.
Why? Because uh, why, as said some time back, why it can be a source of joy is because the need to give love is as strong as the need to receive love. And in case of children, when we give that love by providing the child that uh, loving atmosphere, uh, physical resources, and all everything else that the child needs, which the parents have the capacity to give, and the child really needs. Uh, Providing those needs for the child is something which is a source of joy. And in fact, that fulfills the very purpose of life, because the purpose of life is fulfilled in the spiritual sense by giving what we have to those who need it. Now, here is a child who needs everything that the parents can give,
Yes.
and you have a perfect complementary situation. And it's very easy also to practice it, because giving love to the child, loving the child comes very instinctively. One doesn't have to make much effort to do it. In fact, the child's behavior itself compels it. The child earns that love, because the child right from birth onwards, one may say that, well, it's just a bundle of flesh, but then very soon it starts responding to that love in a way that parents can easily relate to. A little smile, and the first smile of the child, and the first word that the child speaks, and the way the child responds to all the cuddling and fondling, all that uh, does get reciprocated by the child in its childish way, and the parents do enjoy it. So the children, in fact, earn that love. So it's really a sort of quite an irony of the times that this type of an opportunity which parents have, and particularly those parents who have the resources to take good care of children, are not really uh, making good use of it. Then comes the question of, in one case, you talked about the first child was wanted, but the second one was not.
Yes.
Well, I mean, one child may be able to fulfill the needs of the parents for having a child, but then that's being selfish, because
Yes.
the first child needs the second child. You see,
Yes. Needs.
it's only when the child has a sibling that the
Yes.
growth and development are more balanced.
Yes.
And therefore, even apart from this usual reason, which is given, the common sense reason that the parents will not be with the child forever, but the sibling is likely to be there for much longer, so that at least the siblings will be there for each other. That may or may not be sort of strictly a important reason, but all the same, the very process of growth and development
Yes.
is more balanced if one has two. And to some extent, the role of the parent is taken over by the elder sibling. So
Yes.
you don't have to teach too much to the second child. The second child picks it up from the first one.
Yes.
And that's how their bonding also develops. And then, you brought that the vacation became a problem. The child was enjoying the school, the
Yes.
teachers, and the peer group much more.
Yes.
So instead of vacation being a happy time when
Yeah,
the
it
child could get
was.
parental love and time, was becoming a problem, and that's what precipitated some behavioral issues.
Yes. It was a conflicting time for him, like how to get the attention which he was getting otherwise when the younger one was not there. So there definitely that sibling rivalry also was there, which was kind of induced behavior again, what we can see in here.
And finally, when you said that if parents who have resources, when they notice that something is wrong with the child, again, they want to spend minimum time and get
Yes.
maximum results. So the minimum time that they are willing to spend is to bring the child to a counselor and then
Yes.
leave it to the counselor that here is a problem. You are supposed to be the doctor, so you take care of it. Now fix the problem.
Yes.
Now, it's not as simple as that. After all, this is not a machine or an automobile
Yes.
where the mechanic can fix it. That's not what the counselor can do. So, here, in fact, as Ashwini ji said, the parents need more counseling. They need to work more on themselves, and that is what will correct the issue. So, one can't outsource
Yes.
the
Parenting.
outsource parenting. There's no substitute for it. The counselor can provide some help, but
Yes.
unless the parents are willing to put in the work and also balance their priorities,
Yes.
in the sense that career may look more important than the child, but in the long run, even from the ordinary point of view of comfort in life or being happy in life, the child's coming up properly, child's growing up in the proper way will far outweigh whatever one can get from a successful career.
Yes.
But when it comes to the spiritual aspect, certainly, I mean, the two can't be compared because the gains from the successful career are material in nature, which can be counted, which are concrete, palpable, and measurable. And therefore, that has a great appeal for the intellect. But if you look around, those who have achieved this type of success beyond even their own expectations, are they really happy? They are not happy because all these measurable outcomes uh, give us a certain thrill which can last for some time. But eventually, one starts feeling that there is still some gap in life, some void in life, and that can be fulfilled only by taking care of the spiritual needs. And here we have a ready made mechanism by which, that's parenting,
Yes.
by which that uh, aspect, that missing uh, thing, that gap
Yes.
which is which we feel in life can be filled. The spiritual needs can be filled, and although that cannot be measured in terms of 1 kilo of joy or 1 kilometer growth in consciousness, we can't measure it that way. But at the same time, one can feel it. So whether it is material success or whether it is power, prestige, name, and fame, none of these things can fill that gap which comes from taking care of the needs of the soul. And the need of the soul is to evolve. And the inbuilt tool that we have been provided in the way life is organized for achieving that evolution of the soul, or what we call spiritual growth or the growth of consciousness, that comes from, in a way, from parenting in a big way. Of course, not that that's not the only way, and that need not be the lifelong way, but all the same, for most of us, for at least 20 or 30 years of life, that remains a tool. Of course, having used that tool, one becomes an expert on love. And when the children don't need that love from us anymore, they are independent on their own, which also they should be. And if the parenting has been done well, they'll turn out to be even better than we are. And then comes the time when the children don't need that, then to look around and if one looks around, one can always find some avenues for giving what we have and those who need it. So one can always spot those complementary situations. And now that the person is an expert on love, by doing it the easy way, now the person can do it a little more difficult way by showering that same type of love who are not related to the person by blood or marriage. So that essentially what life is about. And understanding life is much more important than uh, getting so involved in the career that one forgets even what life is about because no time to reflect on life. And in that process, not only the person fails to fulfill the purpose of the life properly, and it may be too late when the person realizes what the person has missed and where the gap is and where the person went wrong. But then the person who suffers the most is the child because who has a much longer life ahead. And if that life is not lived happily and meaningfully, then that is something which is something which even the parents would not like. That is neither good for the parents nor for the society. So thank you again for giving this time and making everyone aware of the value of good parenting and also not taking for the sake of the career and some material success a quick decision not to have any children. Thank you.
Yeah.